Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
Trump is planning to raise the fees for H-1B visa, US employment visa, 100 times. What would be future consequences we are going to face? Apparently there is writing in it that says the fees can be waived as the executive branch's discretion. So companies that bend the knee will not have to pay these. Yeah, this is just business as usual for Trump. It's a grift to get tech companies to bend the knee and make payments and gifts to his family. Why even have a legislative branch if he just gets to do whatever the fuck he wants in terms of immigration? Tech jobs moving to Ireland and Canada. A friend who is in Ireland just had her tech job moved to Thailand. The other departments within the company were moved to Dubai. She's having a tough time finding openings in Ireland. Must be the trickle-down economics people are talking about, lol. Airbnb landlords gonna lose their lunch in Houston. That's a good thing. But the yogurt is cursed. Updated to fit the response thread. The USA probably won't be able to maintain the technological edge for much longer. China already has been subsidizing tech advancements a lot. And as I read, they have been overbuilding infrastructure for electricity for so long that they are now using only something like 50% of the electricity that they could produce. So for them, they are in this big tech advancement energy-hungry era with plenty of room to spare. The data center planning is, where do we have room for this? Meanwhile, in the US, data center planning starts with, how are we going to power this plant without crashing the local electrical grid? Maybe we can pipe in power from another state. I'm working construction in an area where they went on a huge data center building boom. A bunch of them went up in just the last 5 years. I know one of our buildings has these grand plans for their site, but they can't get enough electricity to do what they want. They have one hall running, they added a second hall, and then they said they can only use like 1/3 of that second hall until they figure out how to get more power from the city. So yay, China has been playing the long game in several different ways when it comes to tech. I think that foreign nationals are already thinking twice about coming to the US. This can only make it worse. People don't want to go there even for tourism, forget about for work. Now, they go through your phone. So much for land of the free, home of the brave. It's so sad and half the country is all for giving up our freedom. They are so shockingly stupid. Shit, even Ted Cruz thinks what the administration is doing is bad. I never thought I would be agreeing with him. This is just another version of the tariff shakedown. He makes this announcement, then sits back and waits for Tata to call him for a meeting. They show up, give him a present, buy a ton of his crypto, and poof. Their H-1Bs are free for a year. Repeat for Microsoft, Google, Meta, Wipro. And the fee never actually goes up. Yeah, it's just extorting tech companies. There's billions of dollars involved in this. Trump can't sign it away with just an O. They go to China. Say what you want about the Chinese, but they are wise, methodical, and patient. They see this as a wonderful opportunity to gain the upper hand. And they are right. I'm a former H-1B worker from Europe. I wouldn't have gone to China if that was a choice. I would have stayed in Europe. Edit, remember that a lot of H-1B jobs are in flyover states where a lot of US tech workers don't want to move to, because even accounting for the lower call, the pay cut is too great. Few people are looking forward to working for a bank in Wichita. At least 10,000 H-1B visa doctors are going to leave the country. That means thousands of Americans are going to lose their doctors. Many of these H-1B doctors are already serving red voting Americans in underserved areas, so this will hurt MAGA voters disproportionately. The US has a doctor shortage, so this is not a case of foreigners taking jobs from American doctors. Once again, Trump and his ilk have shown that they are stupid, and when they're not being stupid, they're being knowingly villainous. People will die from this. I'm convinced it's a coordinated effort to privatize the healthcare industry. Rural hospitals will close as they won't have the staff to run, as most rural hospitals run exclusively doctors on these waivers, as no American-born doctor will ever agree to live there, so rural hospitals rotate foreign DRs on these waivers to survive. People will be driving 2 or 3 hours to the nearest maternity ward. 2 hours to the nearest or urgent care. And big hospital chains of today will fall out or become even bigger monopolies who can charge whatever the fuck they want once they have an entire coastline under their umbrella. It's going to kill thousands, and we will never hear CUS. It will be a bunch of small stories of someone not able to make a hospital in time. Judging by how hard Amazon Health advertises in my algorithm, I can only imagine the future of rural health care is your Amazon doctor doing house calls while dropping off RR batteries and Tide Pods. Rural America is going to miss having doctors. The doctor shortage bothers me more than anything because the USA is perfectly capable of training enough doctors but artificially limits the supply by limiting medical schools and the number of residents. This was because of actions by Congress through heavy lobbying. There are enough smart and talented individuals that want to become doctors to fix the shortage without importing doctors. There should be federal grants to encourage more people to become doctors. I understand that immediately there will be a shortage, but there shouldn't be a shortage in the first place, and it should be fixed well after Trump is removed from office and hopefully will find the fate most dictators find. Slight caveat, the med schools are not the problem. Pumping out more med spots when we don't have enough residencies is pointless. It's also going to be much harder for Americans to become doctors with graduate student loans capped at $200K. Good luck getting through med school on that, especially as inflation continues and the cap remains the same. This will result in us still wanting to see the Epstein files. As a software developer, I welcome this. There are tons of people looking for jobs in software, but the market is saturated with H-1B visa holders. You're optimistic if you think they'll replace H-1B visa holders with American workers. They'll just hire them to work in India instead of sponsoring them to be brought to the US. Suddenly every tech company will be WFH friendly again. If it's that simple, why haven't they done that already? Why go through the H-1B process? As a software developer, I also welcome this. The YouTuber, Flesh Simulator, made an insightful and nuanced video about the impact of how H-1B visa work is abused in tech. I highly recommend giving it a watch. Big tech is about to have a big problem. Flesh Simulator. Agree. As someone on my team who did a lot of the tech interviews, I don't think I've done a single one this year for someone not on an H-1B. It's pretty bad. This is what MAGA and non-voters wanted. Consequences be damned. I thought people didn't like H-1Bs, now I'm confused. Same here, am I in bizarro world or something? That's been a huge complaint on Reddit for as long as I remember, even recently. There's been a big push in political posts in Askreddit and they're always Trump bad. Bernie is against H-1B, Democrats in the 80s were against the H-1B. With youth unemployment rates, this makes sense to me. FAFO. Just sucks that the rest of us get fucked right along with them. I thought the left wanted a reduction in H-1B visas to encourage the hiring of domestic employees. It's bad because the orange man did it. I'm cool with it. The US is incredibly dependent on being a first-tier landing spot for gifted individuals from other countries. That's already gone. The US is experiencing a brain drain currently that we won't feel the effects of until it's too late. Other countries are going to quickly surpass us in all forms of technology. If you want to see the impacts, just go back in history to Germany in the 1930s, 1940s. The Hyundai factory and the complete abandonment of the project that would have given 8,000 jobs to local Americans, Georgia wasn't it? Is a prime example of what is to come with this absurdity looming like a 800-pound gorilla over every facet of American industry. Have they actually announced a cancellation, abandonment? I honestly wouldn't be surprised, but I've been out of the loop on that one. The quasi-slavery abuse of the H-1B employed by TCS, Infosys just became massively unprofitable. Hopefully, we'll see some new tech jobs open up for Americans. Good. Fuck Infosys, Tech Mahindra, and Accenture. The H-1B visa program is wildly abused, but raising the fees isn't the answer. The likely result will be companies moving the work offshore. Exactly this. Companies claiming to be American have used H-1Bs quite often to avoid spending any of their own money to train a localized workforce when the demands of the industry are not being met by higher ed, and that's a whole other ballgame of companies having shifted the training costs and responsibilities to other people. In the age where shareholder profit comes before all else, CEOs have little choice but to find the quickest, dirtiest way to their workforce, or they will find themselves out of a job when shareholders balk at increased costs on payroll and training. Another area where a whole other convention can happen around boomers having benefited from a culture that did train locally has not to turn around and not care about that so long as their retirement fund continues to outpace inflation. I don't see large banks moving their headquarters away from the US when a lot of them just invested heavy capital in new offices here. I spent the last 10 years of my career working in IT for a big financial services company. When I arrived, our floor had about 100 people. An almost even split between US citizens and employees of an India-based staffing company, almost all of whom were hired under H-1B. The staffing company pitched the idea of doing some projects in their office in Bangalore for about half the price. By the time I left, there were about 25 people on the floor. Carnivals are going to close down. The traveling carnival industry is built on H-1B visas. Who needs traveling carnivals when the whole country is one big circus? Sounds like an opportunity for the wandering sector of the US population. Van life. Oh no, not the carnivals. Loudly crying, loudly crying. First they came for the carnivals, but I didn't care because I wasn't a carny. Those are H-2B visas for non-agricultural workers. The new proclamation is talking about H-1B, which requires a bachelor's degree, at minimum. So no visa, but they'll still offshore all the staff. Right, and none of those offshore salaries go back into our communities in the way of purchased goods and services. American IT workers will be able to find work again because corporations won't be able to hire low-quality foreign replacements for cheap. I despise Trump, but a broken clock is still right twice a day. Corporations already use a large amount of low-quality foreign IT workers. They just work remotely from India. You don't need H-1B visas if you're already offshoring everything. This might actually make things worse because now you have work that still needs to get done, is still getting done, but it's getting taxed somewhere else. And their code shows it. The more companies use foreign 90-day wonder sweatshops, the more they're going to need well-trained US staff to untangle the fuck-ups when it hits production. Unless those IT companies move offshore.